Let's talk about showing your work. If you're doing something interesting, then it's a great idea to show what you're doing on YouTube. So today I'm going to tell you about the many different things I've tried and how I landed on CueCam's editless video production workflow. This is Square's TV App Lab number 101, where we talk about ways to improve your remote communication abilities. We've switched things. I'm Michael Forrest and I make Video Pencil, Shoot and CueCam Presenter along with other things which I'm going to be touching on today. But first let's talk some updates. So hopefully you have seen that I've broken the seal on creating some more content for this YouTube channel. I've been working on devlogs and clipping out some YouTube videos just to make, stuff that we have already recorded a bit more accessible. As I've been sort of dog fooding the app, it just means there's a few little annoyances that I wanted to fix, and they're sort of like holding me up from doing any more content, which it just always happens. So I've got a few things together. And I wanted to keep it simple, but then there was also another couple of things that I was kind of dog fooding. There weren't showstoppers for version 3, but it was going to take a bit of effort to figure out. So that a couple of confusing things. So I've been sort of just looking at that. So what are they? One of those was zooming in on different types of content. So I had a bit of a hodgepodge of different ways I was doing zoom. So either if it was a full screen texture, and you had something there, then it would stretch the texture coordinates sometimes. But then sometimes if this was the window and then this was the content, then I was like, oh, what do I do here? And I was scaling up the sort of 3D nodes, sound cutting out intermittently, and then a short freeze. All right, so we've got some. I am seeing a little bit of strangeness. Sorry, I'm just having to listen back. I'll keep going. Hopefully it evens out. Let me know if it oh, you see, let me know if it, maybe I'm trying to stream at too much of a bandwidth with the Infinite Music Machine also going. So that was a bit awkward to fix. So I spent some time on that and now it's a lot better. But then once I fixed that, I ended up wanting to fix the other annoyance that I've got, which is there's just a black frame shown when transitioning between full screen images, which is barely noticeable, but now I'm really noticing it. And it's only in some transitions. It's just when in my devlogs I was sort of showing a sequence of images. Sometimes I was zooming in on them, but I just noticed it's just this little flash of black, and it's really weird because you sort of get image 1 and then you get image 2. And it would show image 1, and then it would show one frame of image 2, and then it would go black, and then it would continue showing image 2. And so I've reproduced that at 2 frames a second, but I'm not sure what it is, and it just feels like it might be a multi-threading thing, and it just gets a bit scary. So yeah, it's been a bit of a rabbit hole from which I am yet to escape. So it'll probably end up being unfixable without a hacky workaround. So that's why the new build hasn't been released yet and why my devlogs have stalled out a little bit. So sorry about that. But one thing that, the ones that did go up got noticed, so it was quite nice to just get mentioned on LinkedIn, and I'd been included in this newsletter along with some, Majid is always doing good stuff with Swift, Felix, creator of Fastlane, and then look, there's me, Michael Forrest. So I was quite pleased that I came up with, tracking down memory leaks with instruments. I was talking about Video Pencil, the problem I had with Video Pencil, and how I kind of managed to marshal Xcode to actually do what it's supposed to do. So yeah, it's nice to see that people found that useful, and so it's not just me talking about my day, it's stuff that people might actually find valuable. Also, the Johns have kindly sent me one of these. This is an Ivy, so you see it's like a teleprompter thing, so there's a camera in there, screen, teleprompter, speakers, there's microphones in there. So this is a device that I'm looking forward to playing about with some more, but I have not really had any time. But thank you to John I and John D for sorting me out with that. That's it's crazy. But yeah, it's sort of sitting here kind of like feeling a bit unloved at the moment because I've just been too busy trying to fix some other stuff. Right, so that's the updates. Let's talk about YouTube. My hair is disappearing off the top of the screen. So, how do you show your work on YouTube with CueCam Presenter? So let's talk about showing your work and why. So last time I quit my job to pursue music, I read Austin Kleon's Show Your Work, which says just says to make behind the scenes content to like build a fan base, so people can sort of see what you're doing. That's a really good way of engaging people. And I thought, yeah, okay. But just I thought before we talk about that, I'll tell you about the times that I quit my job to pursue music. I should have put some music on that. 2002 in Brixton, I went part-time 3 days a week to make more time for music. I ended up smoking a lot and not getting a lot made. Camden Town, I quit my sort of reasonably leadership role at a digital agency because basically I was coming up to 30 and I didn't want to wake up thinking about XML every morning, so I sort of borrowed quite a lot of money from my ex, which I paid back at, I don't know why I agreed to such an interest rate, but yeah, so that sort of bought me a few months of like tinkering, but again, I sort of ended up taking another job. And then in 2013, I actually left the UK to move to Berlin to try and get my 10,000 hours of music performance, you know, like the Beatles in Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers. So I didn't technically quit my 2-day-a-week remote job until about halfway through that. And I did rack up probably 200 hours in about 3 months just through live streaming. But it's far from 10,000. Or yeah, I must have done a fair few. But yeah, that's how it goes. And then 2017 was the last time. It's the time I was talking about. I was renting a studio in Hammersmith and I worked full-time on music for a few months. I was actually in close proximity with people from the record label that I was like, this would be my dream record label to be on, Island Records. I was like, yeah, they would be a perfect, I'd like to get on that. And then it turned out like the wife of someone up there was like sort of, you know, the husband of quite a high level person was working in the office next to me. And like, if I'd wanted to hang out, I could have probably made something happen, but I just didn't really want to make the stuff that they wanted to promote or publish. And so I just sort of like, I've now made peace. You know, I created the opportunity, I had a chance to do it, but I've sort of made peace with being an unknown indie loser forever now, so it's fine. But anyway, this means I've made a lot of stuff to talk about over the years. And, you know, I'd never really been sure if it was better to be mysterious or open about my approach to production, but I did get more attention by sharing than by trying to be secretive. And then it was interesting because I was doing this stuff on Instagram, and then when I'd meet other producers through friends, they'd sort of like be quite excited to see me, I think, because they'd seen I'd been sharing all this stuff, like how to do reactor patches that you can draw notes, and how to like, you know, do all these different things with hardware. So I just think the fact that I was taking like every day I was doing like a minute on Instagram just to sort of show what I'd been doing that day sort of did work out. So let me talk about like, what are your options for showing your work? And this is like, your work could be, maybe you're an artist. I think, you know, I work with a lot of artists. I talk to a lot of artists. My friend, you know, that's kind of the scene that I was in for a long time. And, you know, it's trying to find it again in Edinburgh, but it's going to take a while, especially with a 1-year-old baby. But you know, it might be that you're kind of like thinking of leaving your job and you kind of want to build your online profile, and it is actually a lot easier to kind of make videos sometimes than actually like write a good blog post. So I think this is a really effective way of doing stuff if you are prepared to go on camera and talk about what you're doing. So yeah, what are your options? I would say option 1. And this is like, so I'm going to talk about what I tried essentially here. So this is what is happening here? Oh, it's showing arc picture in picture. that's weird. Right, so this is a project I did with a friend. So in this example, I am the friend that is helping. So let's just sort of refresh that and stop. So this is this you may have seen. It's mechanical techno demonstration with Graham Dunning, and this is a friend of mine who he happened to have access to like a stage, so we were able to light it, and there were some lights in the stage, and basically I turned up with my camera, audio equipment, and he'd done a plan. So we just basically sort of had this plan and spent a day shooting, and like a lot of that day was spent when I 2 hours of that, I realized I didn't have, like, I brought a camera slider so you can sort of move the camera along smoothly, and then I realized that I'd forgotten the adapter that lets me mount the camera on the slider. I ended up in a taxi across London, which took like over an hour, and then had to come back with this stupid little thing. So this is kind of what happens when you're doing a shoot and there's not a shop nearby that sells camera equipment. It can end up like you just need this one little thing that you forgot, and you definitely, with playing live music, you find that a lot. So shooting stuff, especially if it's like on site, is a lot of effort. But then, like, after a couple of days editing, and thankfully Graham and I sort of understood each other enough that there wasn't too much feedback and back and forth, we were like, this is good enough, and we published it and released it, and we ended up, you know, we've got this one, this one's got 6 million views. So it's like one of the first big video projects that I've ever done. And it was, I haven't made anything nearly as popular since. I'll show you, listen, you can hear it. Loved that. It basically, the ASMR crowd found it, because we actually, like, in my little office in Kensal Rise, we were sort of mixing audio. He basically brought the bits and bobs, and we just recorded all of those, like the pencil and all the things on a nice microphone, and then sort of layered them in. And I think it really paid off, because people really loved the sounds of it. But yeah, you can't really predict what's going to work. I'd never heard of ASMR before this, but it was interesting because it's had like 6 million views on YouTube, but it's been stolen and re-uploaded so many times that it's probably had like, you know, a few million more views than that, monetized by other people, no doubt. But yeah, so, you know, option one, I would say, you know, doing a shoot like this, it's logistically challenging and requires a lot of planning and editing and collaboration, and if any of those things don't work, then you sort of end up with not much, or you end up like spending a lot of money and a lot of time, probably not to get very much, or not to get anything if you're not lucky. And I have done projects that just haven't gone anywhere after a lot of work. So what's your second option? Edit videos. Sorry, I have an itchy nose. The baby is sick, he's got a cold, and I'm starting to get the cold, so I'm like, so the second is editing videos on your phone. So when I was doing that, you know, as I mentioned, when I was in Hammersmith, I was editing little videos every day for Instagram on my phone. So here's the sort of thing I'm talking about. So I put like the text on, and yeah, here's me sort of talking about, but you have to like unmute it, because all my animations are from the center, so we can change the. This doesn't always work for some reason. Anyway, so I was doing these little videos, and I did quite a lot of these, although it's hard to show them because I've got to scroll quite far down my Instagram, but I made loads of these little kind of, here's stuff I'm working on things. Basically, I used this, in fact, this microphone, this lav mic, and plugged it into my phone so I got decent sound, and then just edited it on the phone and uploaded it, which was fine. You know, I got content up. And these days I would say probably do this on TikTok, and using their app rather than like, you know, clips and then doing it into Instagram. It's, you know, the TikTok app is crazy. Like, if you are editing on your phone, it's nuts. And also, like, if you're doing anything with audio, then it's nice that the audio isn't muted by default. But I would say option two is, it's okay, but it's pretty fiddly, and you end up sort of repeating effort quite a lot. So you sort of like, you're not happy with it, and it's quite awkward to edit it, and you end up like undoing it, and just sort of like redoing it over and over again, like, and it doesn't feel very sort of, and all the app crashes, or you lose your place, or it's quite fiddly, I would say. It's possible, and loads of people do really great stuff on TikTok, but I would say, like, if you have got a computer, it's a bit of a pain having to edit on a phone. I don't enjoy it. So option three is sort of go big. So this is how, like, I did a series called Leaving the Laptop on YouTube. And this is where I kind of like learned how to write with Final Draft, which is like just basically the industry standard like screenwriting software. And I wanted to learn how they kind of format those scripts. And I wanted to use like their tools and techniques. So this is sort of like the kind of script I was making for my videos for that series. So you see, I'm sort of misusing it a little bit, but you have your location, and then that's useful because now you know how many different locations you've got. And if that's like, you can sort of treat that as like, okay, I need these different graphics, or I need to film that on one camera, I need to film that in the other room. Like, it's really useful for being able to organize it. Then you've got your action, you describe the action, like that, and that's the full width. And then you've got your dialogue. So this is me, voiceover, and then like that's what the dialogue is. And the good thing about this format is each page is, in this format, will be like a minute. So you kind of like know if you're leafing through a script, then it's about a minute per page in this format. And it's just, you know, if you're going to learn how to write scripts for screen stuff, then you know, just learn the standard. I used Final Draft, but there's another one called Beat, BEAT, which is free and just as good, I would say. This was like 300 quid, I think, for Final Draft, and I think my license, I don't know what's going on with my license. I haven't used it for ages, but you know, it sort of gives you this XML format. So I did end up building a tool to sort of organize my shoots. So this is because I sort of took those files. So this is my file draft 4, and I turned it into like a shooting script and all the bits and bobs that I needed. And then like later on, I would turn it into like a Final Cut timeline so that I could organize it. But basically, you sort of like want a kind of a list of everything you need, and then you can start like filling it in. And so, you know, I do have a deep dive on that, which apparently I've put the wrong link in. So let me just see if I can find that. That's weird. That should be it. The problem with laptops. Okay. Well. Yeah, okay, so this was a bit of a deep dive into that. So the video is like...
Hi,
got quite a lot.
This is Michael Forrest with Leaving the Laptop, a series on live electronic music performance. In this first episode, I'm going to talk about why I don't like laptops in live music. The easiest way to play electronic music live is to be happy when the real thing in the top.
And I did all these graphics.
You can see exactly what they're doing from any angle, parts of the room. They're using turn and move freely.
Anyway, so I did that, and so if you want to look at this blog post, it's linked from the post. I'm going red. So here's the script. Like I bought clothes from H&M and used them for the shoot, and then like returned them. I tried some motion tracking, which didn't really work. I kind of tried some different stuff. Makeshift boom mic. I had my little script, my sort of checklist here of all the different things I had to do. I sort of designed the titles, and that took quite a lot of work. You end up spending quite a lot of time on graphics and stuff. So you see I was like designing all these ideas and then like putting this stuff together in Apple Motion to try and like sort of explain this idea that's in my head. So you can see it sort of ends up getting quite complex. And I'm sort of doing stuff like this. So even stuff like this as well is really time consuming, like coming up with layouts like this. So I ended up doing a ton of work on this video, and then like you do end up doing quite a lot of I end up using code quite a lot, and then I made the music just for the thing, and I sort of published it. Oh yeah, I made these titles for the numbers. The thing is, like the first video in a series like this, you'll end up spending ages on the graphics and stuff. And then here, like, what's all this? I don't even know. Here's where I recorded the voiceover in a cupboard with a blanket, classic stuff. And I sort of made this little, at the end, I kind of like downloaded. I just wanted to have like a really fast gear acquisition syndrome thing. So that like I had to program. Okay, how do I stop that? Yeah, so there it is, like my script for download. So you see, like it's something like this. Like this was like a month's work, this video. So and you're like making graphics and trying to figure things out the whole time, and you finally finish it, and it's like, wow, that was a lot of work. And that was like to get an idea across. But you see, like video production can end up getting pretty out of hand if you're not careful, if you have a specific vision, if you start going into for a lot of polish. So, if it will let me skip to the next thing. So option 3 is effective, but it does require a lot of expertise and tooling and a lot of editing and a lot of post-production, as you saw from that post. So option 4 for me is a much better way, and that's what I'm going to talk about now. So I think the biggest video production time sink is editing. So on a phone, it's too easy to make mistakes, as I said, and you end up repeating work multiple times to get a half-decent result. Or if you go with a sort of full-blown Final Cut Pro edit, you're going to have to really well, not just learn the software, which is sort of quite sophisticated, but also learn how to edit, which is an art form, right, in itself. You have to organize your footage, assemble it, sequence it, figure out which takes to use, figure out how to make it feel natural. That's kind of the hardest thing. It's how do I bring this together so that it flows when it's made of all these disparate elements? And you're doing that with editing, J cuts, L cuts, music, transitions, all these different things to just try and make the story work. And actually, one of my, I did that music video, that Peanut music video, and I was I wanted a transition from, sometimes you can do quite weird stuff. I wanted a transition from this little peanut going from inside to outside. But I had the footage of it going through the door on the inside, which was in Berlin, in my flat in Berlin. But then I was in London when I was, finishing it off. And so I just took some footage from outside, just a random door in London, and just followed that. And it just you don't know what house is what when you see that cut. So you sort of learn that you can get away with certain things through the magic of editing. And again, yeah, it's like an art form, but it's quite difficult, right? So I think if you want to get into editing, that's a whole thing. And this is all made a lot worse if you don't have a good plan. Yeah, this is why films cost so much to make, right? If you don't have a good plan, if you don't know what footage you need, and you just end up recording a load of stuff and then trying to figure out how to put it together later, which is how I made videos before I started learning how to write scripts. You just never know how long something's going to take, and it can be a bit of a nightmare. So, for example, this ad hoc shoot, I did afterwards. We did these overhead shots, and we did, but I didn't have any wides, establishing shots. I realised when I came back with all the footage, so I ended up making this stuff on a cork board and printing out stuff, and there's a power drill underneath the cork board spinning the record around, and I ended up doing weeks of extra work just to try and make this this demo all work. And we kind of and then we sort of took all the footage back in and ran it through a video effects unit to sort of get all these glitchy things. So this was a real time sort of tweaking the video, and as the video progresses, I can sort of start to use all of that nice juicy content that I'd made, that I'd shot the first time. But I'm cropping and figuring out. But it's a 9-minute video, so it was really challenging to just turn the ad hoc footage without the good plan into something that is actually engaging. So just watch out for that, because I'm never doing that again. Next time I'm gonna. But you'd learn, right? I'm not very used to doing videos, and I just didn't realise if we just come in on the close-ups, no one's going to know what's going on. You have to have a wide shot to establish. So there's so much to learn. So how do we avoid editing and make it easier to plan? This is where CueCam Presenter comes in. Right, so this is all this stuff I've been learning, all these videos I've been making. I've sort of ended up making this tool that helps me show stuff on the internet without having to go through all that pain every time. So I designed it to take the essence of a final draft script. So you'll see basically the sort of teleprompter is a sort of mixture of dialogue and action, and then the scenes, rather than scenes, it's almost the content that you're bringing in sort of constitutes which is which. So you're sort of assembling those scenes and things beforehand. You're bringing in all that content beforehand, and then that just lets you shoot live, which now means you don't have to post hoc figure out how to time it, because you're just naturally going to time it nicely because you're talking to camera and you're being that, and you can just sort of see what's coming up. You can improvise a little bit, you can draw on top of it, you can sort of zoom in on something, you can sort of you can stop and interrupt and start another take and bring those two together. But compared to editing a video with the other ways I've described, it's just so much more effortless. And yeah, so you might do a little bit of tidying up, or combine a couple of things. I did for my last couple of videos. I kind of, you don't always get a perfect full take. Sometimes I do, and I'm like, yes. But sometimes I'll flub a bit, and I'll be actually, or something didn't quite show properly, so I'll just cut and then mark that green in CueCam, and then take the next one, and then just drag those into Final Cut and just trim it a bit. And then it's always nice if you do have it in Final Cut, because you can just like add a couple of other little bits and bobs while you're there. But often you can just trim it in QuickTime and upload it, and it's just again, like much easier to get a naturally flowing video without that headache of media management and editing on the timeline and having all your different audio and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to show you kind of what that looks like. So with CueCam, you can quickly draft a script, add title graphics, and bring in screen shares and video clips. So here's, and then each card's content becomes the text in your teleprompter, or on your, if you don't have a if you don't have a teleprompter but you've got an iPhone, it comes on the iPhone screen, so you can use your phone as a camera and a teleprompter. But if you've got a teleprompter like me, or like an Ivy, like, you can just do it to the camera, so you don't have to learn everything off by heart to get a decent take. And you still can learn it, like you don't have to read it. Like I try and like not be reading too much, but like I'm reading all this stuff right now. You sort of develop the skill. But here's the script for the thing I did last week, which is the script for my Infinite Music Machine Resurrection video. So you see I've like brought in the font for like a little lower third. This all just sits on the card, and then there's my teleprompter stuff where I sort of put a bit of context in, and then you can see like I'm sort of sharing Xcode because it was quite a technical project, so I wanted to do a little bit of a screen share. And then I actually sort of like I'd made it. So I was resurrecting an old project, and I had like a video of this from like 10 years ago, 2013, over 10 years ago, and it had all these little clips of me kind of like creating the loops. So it's a machine. It's basically a looping. It's like a I should read the script from the previous slide, shouldn't I? It is a generative, it just plays music forever, and it uses an algorithm to resequence 1,000 different loops that I recorded. And so this is like footage of me recording the different loops, and then you can like trim out the different sections. So I just wanted these little black and white cutaways, so I just like put those on these different cards. And so that's, you don't have to, it's nice just to be able to bring in a big video and just like trim it down, or split it across different cards, which you can do in CueCam. So again, that sort of saves you rendering stuff out, which is like another thing that takes ages when you're doing normal editing. So I also added some quotations. So we did sort of a bit of a press push on this when it came out. So I did have these quotes from some different press outlets. So I just like, threw them in using CueCam's Markdown syntax, and then I can like use that to kind of illustrate my points, and it's formatted nicely. You'll notice that the new version of CueCam lets you change the font on different cards finally. That was some work I was doing this week, just kind of like making that design stuff a bit more consistent. And then here's, that's the script, and then this is kind of how my desk looks. So I've got my laptop there. So usually I'll share the laptop screen, and then I've got another bigger screen there, which is where I'm usually like working on. And currently I've got kind of CueCam on that screen. I'm sharing this screen when I'm showing like the browser. And then above it, we've got basically my big camera is back here. And then this is an Elgato prompter. So this is just a screen where I can look at what I'm doing. So I'm looking into that right now. So, and then a big light. I've actually got there's another big light up there. So and then the iPad is down here for sort of drawing on stuff. So you see if I ever want to just quickly, that's another thing with the iPad, like you end up doing like spending ages on graphics because you want to just like highlight something. So I've spent so much time in Apple Motion just trying to make a thing that goes, oh, look at this, or like, look at this, or like one, and like, with this, I can just do that and it's just done. I don't have to like render it out as a generator or a title thing. So, there's a lot of advantages to working this way, in this like live way. And like CueCam as well, like is designed to kind of like just, and Video Pencil, you can just like be a lot more loose and expressive. And it's just, it all comes down to saving you from that edit process. So, I'm also, I've got a microphone. I'm using this again, like there's a Rode Wireless Go, which is plugged into the laptop, and that's in mono, and then I've got this lav mic plugged into it. I don't know, let me know if it's boomy, because it was boomy on this recording that I'm going to show you. But yeah, and then I've just got this really cheap in-ear headphone so that I can hear what's coming out. It's like less than 20 quid, I think. It's not good sound, but like when there's audio playing and if it's too loud and stuff, and you can hear the other person you're talking to, but it's not like you're wearing a big pair of headphones, or it's not falling out and you can get away. One of my bugbears is like not being able to go away, like having a wired headphone or microphone, well, headphones particularly, and then not being able to walk around before I go live, not being able to like walk, it's really annoying if you kind of need your headphones in, but you need to like pace before you do a performance or before you go live. So I do recommend like a wireless in-ear thing if you can. So, and then I made the original Infinite Music Machine back in 2013. It was an iOS app that just plays music forever. Double speed. But I feel like pure algorithmic music tends to get quite boring. So obviously this was based on an algorithm, but I feel like they get quite boring. So I kind of went heavy on the human-made stuff and quite light on the code side. So I wrote this algorithm to sequence loops in different combinations, basically. So here's what that algorithm looks like roughly. So basically, like every bar, 2 bars, quarter of a bar. So here I'm sharing my screen and I've got the picture-in-picture. I did not tidy up my key before I did. Like this is how like much I kind of like rushed this video out. I just kind of like I set the key and then I'm bringing out stuff to illustrate what I'm saying. I'm bringing in bullet points so that I can just like a YouTuber would be like bang bang bang, and I do want to make bullet points feel a bit more like that. But basically I did it in one take and it took a bit longer than usual because sometimes you need to drink some water. But you see, like it went to the, it goes into these different videos. You can kind of like watch what I was doing. Let's just put this at double speed. But you can see, like, you can get something that looks pretty good, and you can be picture in picture, you can be talking, you can be like drawing on stuff as you go, and like just kind of being quite transparent. And this is kind of what this is kind of the point, and this is if you are showing your work, then you are implicitly trying to be a bit more transparent, I think. You see all the gear that I was using. Look at young me, and then this is what the app looked like. But anyway, so this is pretty rough and ready. Like there was a bug with these things because I was in the middle of changing how that worked. But mostly I was unhappy with the boomy audio on this, which we might have again today, I'm not sure. Because I did just add a load of acoustic panels, so there's no reason it should be bad. But you see, like with this, I'm able to just like talk about it, make my notes, kind of describe what we're doing, and then like at the end I can like jump in and like show you the project, or show you the links. Like if there's a call to action, I can just like show you that. So that's kind of the result that I'm talking about. So it's this, but it's basically what you're looking at now is a CueCam production. It's a but it's a live stream. But you can use the same tool to make videos that you just upload. So you don't always just have to do it live to an audience. You can you can do it offline and edit it a little bit. So I hope that gives you an idea of how quickly you can achieve, I think, really great results with CueCam's editless workflow. So let's go back to the main thing. So that's it from me today. What time is it? 6:30. I see a few people. Let's have everyone. Hello, Tony Mobley. Let's hear from Jeff. Says hi from Bedfordshire. I see we've got Click by Click. Who's that? Is that Philip? But yeah, I see there's a few people in today. But yeah, and again, like we did, I've moved this over to YouTube because basically after hours there was no one there, and then I was like doing it on Zoom and it made it a bit awkward. But hopefully now once we start doing the hi John, once we start doing the yeah, I kind of missed talking to John today because I just kind of went straight to YouTube. It's a bit lonely. Usually we're sort of like talking behind the scenes, but hopefully this motivates me to finally like commit to a schedule for these CueCam Present webinars that I want to start. Please, if you are interested in that, then just do come and like register so that I can just sort of get a bit more feel for the interest. Because, let me just go previous, sorry. I tried to edit. So let me just give you that. So cuecam.app/CueCam. So if you're interested in the webinar, if you just want to like come on to a Zoom webinar with me like on a regular basis, and just kind of like we'll do little exercises, and I'll just kind of like help you like develop your CueCam skills and just really presentation skills. And then again, I'm always on Discord, even when I don't want to be. So you can find us and me and other people on Discord. And if you are on there, then you have a lot of influence over what I'm working on. So a lot of what I've been working on is in direct response to people raising ideas and suggestions and bugs on Discord, and me just trying to go, yeah, right. It like really tells me that you're kind of like engaged and interested in what I'm doing, and you're finding these nooks and crannies that like I could. Like if I'm aware of a lot of these things, but if I kind of tried to polish every single corner, I would never release, and then I would never even know if I was polishing stuff that anyone would ever find. So I just find it better to work like this. But yeah, if you're interested in the webinar, come to cuecam.app/youcan and just like, it'll just ask you for your name and what time works for you. Although I kind of want to I think I'm going to try a different time that I've suggested there. So, but yeah, once I've kind of got your interest, then I can reach out again. So yeah. And since I brought it back to life this week, so I've got the Infinite Music Machine is now running on a Mac Mini in the corner. So, because it was a thing that I made as an iPhone app, but basically it's now live streaming forever on YouTube. Well, unless it crashes or it sort of like gets disconnected. But like it streamed for like 48 hours the other day, and I just restarted it earlier. So you can find this on my Michael Forrest YouTube channel, and it's just like playing all the time. And sounds like this, a bit glitchy, a bit weird. I'm sort of tempted to sort of like add in sort of show you what this looks like behind the scenes. But yeah, this just kind of goes forever, and you can find it at youtube.com/MichaelForrest. So I'm gonna disconnect, mute my mic, and let it play for a few minutes, and see you next time. Thank you so much for joining me this week, and see you in the next one. Thank you.